Philip, another common condition in the forefoot is the bunion. I understand that bunions occur more commonly in women than in men. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you would treat a bunion?
Okay, it's a good question, Bruce. A bunion is caused by two factors. You've got a congenital factor or a hereditary familial factor which is passed down through the family. Then you've got the factor being the hard, flat ground, which relates back to the nature versus civilization concept that I was talking about. Now, firstly, let me talk about the congenital factor. The most common problem which relates to bunions is what we call a high intermetatarsal angle, which means the first metatarsal is more adducted or medially placed, increasing the angle between the first and metatarsal bones, and this commonly occurs in women. They have a higher intermetatarsal angle than men anyway, but then if you inherit a larger degree, which is normally greater than 9 degrees in women, you find that this adducted position of the first ray causes a compensation of the distal digits by going in a valgus position. Okay. Now, when you combine that with the ground, and I'll demonstrate in my hand what happens, you'll see how a bunion is formed by the combination of hard, flat ground plus metatarsus primus severus or metatarsus adductus. Now, if we pretend my hand is a foot, this is the heel, this is the arch, this is the first metatarsophalangeal joint, and that's basically my big toe. If you have a high intermetatarsal angle, you have an adducted angle here of the forefoot anyway, but then when you start to pronate, you can see how the distal digit goes into a valgus position. That's why we call it hallux abducto valgus. You get this medial force here which increases pressure, more force, the bone gets larger over time, and again the digit goes laterally, which is the cause of a bunion. And more importantly, people say, well, you know, how do you treat this congenital factor? I say, well, listen, that's hard to treat. There's a surgical treatment available now, which is, you know, not recommended in most cases, but I say it's metatarsus adductus plus the hard flat ground equals a bunion. I can treat the excess pronation by using an orthotic, and by removing one of those ingredients, you're reducing or limiting the growth of the bunion by a massive level. So I advocate orthotics in this particular case.
Okay, great.
In this case, we can see with people who suffer from bunions, not that this person has a bunion at this stage, but they have the typical redness. They've got a slight build-up of this bone here. And again, when the foot rolls inwards or pronates due to the hard, flat ground, you get this pressure on this joint. Now, if I re-correct the foot and bring it back to neutral, you can see the arch comes up, the pressure is reduced from here, and actually the big toe becomes straighter. If the foot is relaxed, you see the pressure comes back and you get this twisting of the big toe, which is what causes a large amount of pressure here, and over time a large bony bump builds up, which is called a bunion.